Coach Carthel, appreciate you joining us. We'll get to some questions here before you get started on this big week.
You bet.
Yeah, Coach, first of all, we got ACU again. So, how much have you all talked about, the kind of the revenge factor from week 2?
Well, shoot, those guys, it's not really a revenge game. It's just going to be another classic. I think this will be the 9th time that we've locked horns with them since I got the job here in 2018, 2019 season. So, a very familiar foe, and has really turned into a great rivalry. I think 2 really good programs, and tons of respect for Coach Patterson and his staff, Nick Holt and Graham Harrell, those guys. They've got a tremendous staff. They're a very well-coached team. And we have had some great battles. It was a great game back in September, September 1st, whenever that was, 8th. I can't remember the date. But we've had great battles throughout the years. Everybody's been talking about that all last week, just the kick 6 and the 51-yard field goal, the double overtime at Globe Life, and we've been on both sides of it, and so we're just excited to have a great opponent. 2 good football teams from Texas playing football here in December, and expect a great game. So Wildcats have gotten a lot better since we played them last, but the Lumberjacks have too. So should be a fun one.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you about. Obviously not the same teams. Neither one of them. Both of them improved a lot too. So what specifically would you say ACU has improved on the most?
I think they're playing much better. I mean, they did some good things against us offensively, but offensively they are really clicking right now. Stone Earl is a stud, the quarterback. I call him Johnny Football of FCS. I mean, I've recruited him 3 or 4 different times throughout his career, and have a lot of respect for him and his game, and he's playing at a very high level. He's played in big games. He started and had a 16-21 against Ohio State the year Ohio State won the national championship. So he's a veteran, signal caller, and you've got a guy like that. It makes everybody around you better. They've got a receiver, number 7, that is absolutely killing it right now. He's on a tear. I think he's caught 22 balls for close to 500 yards and maybe 5 touchdowns in the last 3 games alone. So he's a problem. Their O-line, you talk to our group, they'll tell you that's the best O-line they've faced all season long. They still remember them. So I think it'll be a great battle in the trenches. So offensively, they're really clicking, doing a good job. Defensively is what's unique too. They kind of made a wholesale change 5 or 6 weeks ago, kind of mid-season, and went kind of from a 3 down to more of a 4 down, and have just really, it fits their personnel. That's a sign of, I think, good coaches, and like I mentioned earlier, KP and Coach Holt, those guys have so much experience behind them, and they got their pieces fit right now, and they are just suffocating people on the run, and that change has been really good for them schematically. So we will definitely have our hands full with them, but like I say, it'll be a good football game, and expect a great crowd with it being an in-state rival.
Sure. What, if anything, did you learn from watching their game on Saturday?
You better have your chin strap buckled and be ready when the ball is kicked off, because I mean, if you took a bathroom break and came back, it was 4-0 like that. I think against Lamar, it got away from those guys in an absolute hurry, and they had a great game plan and executed at a high level, made very few mistakes, and played about as clean as you can. So it will be a 60-minute ball game, but you better be dialed in every snap, because you don't know which one. They'll be poised and ready to make plays each and every time, and as will the Lumberjacks.
How do you approach this any differently at all? I mean, being a playoff game?
No, you don't. I mean, this was different this past week with a bye. That was I've been very fortunate in my career to play in the postseason 15 or 16 times. That was the first time I've ever been a part of a bye week, and so we did some homework and research with the North Dakota States of the world and how they handle it, and structure practice lifts and meetings, and tried to just emulate those guys who have been so good and so successful with that. So that was good, allowing us to maybe get our legs back under us a little bit, get a few guys off the IR, and now it's just business as usual. We had a really good practice this morning. It was a little cooler. There was a little frost on the pumpkin this morning, December 1st. As I told the team, there's a lot of players out there, high school and college, throughout their career will never practice one time in December. So enjoy this cold morning practice and enjoy this week, and we're working to extend the season one more week, try to get one more week together, but just enjoy the journey. Saturday's going to be great. It's going to be a great environment, a fun game, but these practices and meetings leading up to it, that's really special that not a lot of people get to experience in their career. So, but other than that, it's business as usual. We were full pads, we were banging, and trying to work through some physical stuff early in the week, and then we'll back off of them later in the week and be ready for game day.
How are y'all doing health wise, especially after the bye week?
I think we're in as good a shape as we could ask for. Both quarterbacks are firing on all cylinders, and got a lot of people back. Had a few guys that had been bumped and bruised, ankles here and sore shoulder there, but we've still got some guys that are out, or that are banged up. Everybody does week 14, but for the most part, really blessed and highly favored, I think, from an injury standpoint. And that's where that bye week really does help, and just helps your mentals too, just to kind of relax. Everybody was able to take off. I think 60% of our team went home. The others stayed here, they got to go eat the buffet, the Thanksgiving buffet at the Fredonia. Richie DeWitt and John McLaren, they hooked us up, and those guys were a little slower today at practice because they had a feast there at Thanksgiving. But it was awesome for everybody just to enjoy family and take a couple days to kind of recharge in that bye week on top of getting healthy. So I think that was advantageous for the Lumberjacks.
And Coach, when you look at the team you started the season with, at Houston, or for that matter, even the next week when you go to ACU, all the way to now, kind of those weeks in between, what's a couple of takeaways, maybe something you're the most proud about, or what you've seen out of your team from that week to week?
I think we've done a really good job, maybe the best I've seen in my tenure here, maybe even career, is just to get better each week. I think we're playing some of our best football right now. We've had injuries, we've had guys go down, other guys have stepped up, but just continually to get better. And I think our best football is still ahead of us. I still think we got our best game yet coming up, and hopefully that's Saturday because we're going to need it. So I think that was good to see. The other thing is you never saw our guys put their hands down. They were ready to play, ready to fight each week, and that's hard. I think we've rattled off 10 in a row now, and not every one of those teams was ACU. Not every one of those teams was a playoff conference. ACU's back-to-back UAC champions. So, when we played those teams that maybe didn't have as strong of a record, I was really pleased with the maturity of our group to just go out there and, play at our level, our standard. It's 60 minutes of us, and I thought they did a good job with that all year long, and that's what it's going to be in the playoffs too. It really, ACU's a common opponent, got a great rivalry. Again, they're back-to-back UAC champions they were 2 rounds deep last year in the playoffs, well coached, very athletic team. But when it comes to noon on Saturday, it's really going to be about the Lumberjacks and how we handle our business and control the controllables that we can and play our best football and let the chips fall where they may.
And Coach, obviously Saturday's the big billing, but it's really a big week overall for the Lumberjacks. When you talk about signing day on Wednesday, and even for the student athletes with finals coming up at the first of next week. Talk a little about the operational, logistical aspects of your program and all the people working somewhat behind the scenes to make sure all of that runs smoothly.
I will tell you this, I'm glad we're playing at home because there is a lot going on. We had an official visits this weekend. We had 12 guys on campus, and signing date is Wednesday, and that's the next grade class. We've got a lot going on, as you mentioned, with finals, finishing strong in the classroom, working. Another thing we did last week in the bye week and even today at practice is we're banking reps. We're getting next year's team better right now. Our young guns are scrimmaging and practicing against each other. So that's a big piece too. And recruiting never stops. But it is a blessing to be at home. That helps with logistics. That helps with meetings. That you know where your kids are. You know where your meetings are going to be, and you're not having to throw that added piece on it in terms of travel and arrangements there with everything else that's going on. We've got a great staff. I mean, we've got great coordinators, great assistant coaches, and then kind of the unsung heroes are off the field, the ops. Derek Woolery, our general manager, Haley Heisman's our DFO, and her staff. I mean, they do a tremendous job, and so it's it's been fun to watch them work. They are busy. That's why we're a little bit late getting this thing started. I texted. I know don't want to waste anybody's time, but I mean we are, even at home, we're still behind as we've always said. But guys and gals are working really hard across the entire program to make this a successful week.
Coach, one more for you here. Obviously, a couple weeks ago, going into the Lamar game, billed as the biggest one Homer Bryce has seen in decades, and it was. But now you look forward to Saturday, and that's obviously the biggest one Homer Bryce has seen. Talk a little about just the home crowd this year and how much you guys have been able to play into that and how much you're going to need them on Saturday.
Yeah, we need everybody. We need all ACU's fans to come. I mean, they ought to be here. It's a short drive across the state, so let's go. Let's pack Homer Bryce. But, you know, as high school seasons are winding down, that frees some people's schedules up. Thanksgiving's over and done with. This is the big game this week with two high-caliber teams, two conference champions battling off. You know, I think the first game that's been first playoff game, you know, other than the first round game that's been held at Homer Bryce since like 1989. So it doesn't get much bigger than this. And you know, you look at it. There's been some tremendous teams throughout the years here. You know, you talk about the '89 team, you know, '95 team, 2010, you know, 9 and 10. This team right here, I mean, you look at what they've done. Most conference wins, first time ever undefeated in conference, 10 wins in a row. A lot of those things are the first time it's ever happened in school history. So this team right here is one of the best that's ever played at SFA. And this is probably everybody's last chance to see them. You know, if we're able to be successful, I mean, the road goes on, but it's going to be away from the, you know, comforts of home. So this will be a team that is talked about for decades around here. So this is everybody's last chance to come watch them play. And there are some superstars on this team that are going to play for a while on Sundays. And so I think it's a great environment. Weather's going to be beautiful. Sun always shines on the Lumberjacks. It's going to be a beautiful day there Saturday. So hope everybody comes out. I know ticket sales have been phenomenal so far. So expecting a big crowd. So get your tickets now, show up, be there early, stay late, be loud and proud for the Lumberjacks, and let's find a way to win one more.
Awesome, Coach. Appreciate you joining us. Best of luck Saturday.
Thank you. Axel.